Hope you're having a great week so far. Time to catch up on your Big Blue sports news. Welcome to this week's edition of Behind the Blue. Millikin Volleyball played 4 games last week. Big Blue hosted North Central on Wednesday night. This one was a back and forth game with the teams going set for set and Millikin taking the victory in 5. On Friday and Saturday, Millikin took part in the Calvin Midwest Invitational. The Big Blue opened on Friday evening with a 3-0 loss to Hope College. Later that evening, Millikin faced off with Ohio Northern. The Big Blue fell in this one by a score of 3-0. And in their final game on Saturday, Millikin took on the host Calvin University. The Big Blue were swept by the Knights. This brings women's volleyball to 17-10 on the year. Their 4-3 record in the CCIW places them 5th in the conference. This week, Millikin heads up to Carroll on Wednesday before traveling to the Baden Invite at Wash U on Saturday. The postseason field is just about set for the CCIW tournament. Millikin is locked into the 5th position, and they can't get any higher or drop any lower. Carroll and Augustana have both been eliminated from the tournament mathematically, and North Park will need some help on the last day of CCIW play to beat out North Central for the 6th and final spot. If the conference tournament were to start today, Millikin would be traveling to Wheaton in the first round, with the winner traveling up to Illinois Wesleyan in the semifinals. Moving on to men's soccer, the Big Blue traveled up to North Park on Wednesday. A scoreless first half gave way to a 2-goal second half for the Vikings. Millikin failed to record a shot on target as the Big Blue were shut out 2-0. On Saturday, the Big Blue hosted Wash U. The Bears got on the score sheet twice in the second half as Millikin fell 2-0 on Senior Day. This brings men's soccer to 1-11-2 on the year. Their 1-4-1 mark in the CCIW places them 8th in the conference. This week, Millikin hosts rival Illinois Wesleyan on Wednesday night before hosting Wheaton on Saturday in their season finale. The postseason push continues for men's soccer as well. With their loss last week, the Big Blue were mathematically eliminated from contention, along with Carroll and Augustana. Carthage and Elmhurst remain alive in the hunt. If the conference tournament were to start today, Millikin would not qualify, with Wheaton, Illinois Wesleyan, North Central, and North Park making up the field. Moving on to women's soccer, the Big Blue hosted North Central for Senior Day on Saturday. The seniors, they were contributing heavily in this one. The game's opening goal was scored by a pair of seniors, with Maddie Wood getting an assist from Amanda Noser. Faith Marinay and Grace Haddikin would combine for the second Big Blue goal later in the half. In goal, keeper Hope Limoges would put a masterpiece together. The senior would record a career-high 14 saves as Millikin shut the Cardinals out 2-0. This brings women's soccer to 8-6 on the year. Their 3-3 record in the CCIW is good for 5th place in the conference. This week, Millikin will travel to Illinois Wesleyan on Wednesday before hosting Wheaton on Saturday. The postseason push is coming to a close for women's soccer. Millikin still finds itself on the outside looking in from 5th, but by the slimmest of margins. Things are going to come down to the wire this week, with teams 2 through 6 all fighting to get in. Carthage, Elmhurst, and North Park have all been mathematically eliminated. And if the conference tournament were to start today, Millikin would not qualify, with Augustana, Illinois Wesleyan, North Central, and Wheaton making up the field. Big Blue football was in action on Saturday at home against Wash U. The Big Blue defense just couldn't keep the Bears' efficient offense hemmed in as they exploded in the 55-13 loss for Millikin. Calport was 19 of 39 with 231 yards through the air, a touchdown to go with 4 interceptions. Marion McGee once again paced Big Blue rushers on the ground with 25 attempts for 79 yards. And a usual face, Colton Lockwood was the leading receiver for the Big Blue, pulling in 98 yards on 8 receptions to go with the game's lone touchdown through the air for the Big Blue. Jaquan Harrell recorded 9 tackles and 2 tackles for loss in the loss. Millikin sits at 2-5 on the year, and their record of 2-4 in the CCIW puts them 7th in the conference. Millikin will host the top team in the country in North Central on Saturday. With the conference schedule well over halfway through, a title chase has formed. North Central still has the lead with Wheaton and Wash U in hot pursuit. Half the conference saw themselves eliminated mathematically last weekend, with Millikin among them. Women's tennis was in action in the first round of the CCIW Women's Tennis Championships. Millikin was victorious, defeating rival Illinois Wesleyan 5-0. Emily Marcus and Paige Willer got things going for the Big Blue as they scored an 8-1 victory early. Destiny Galvin and Shelby Jones followed suit with an 8-5 mark of their own, and the duo of Nicole Obradovich and Chloe Sabin would win 8-3 as Millikin swept doubles play. Singles play saw Millikin take it early. Emily Marcus was the first singles game to finish with the score 6-1, 6-3, and Brianna Barconi delivered the finishing blow with a 6-0, 6-1 decision. Obradovich, Willer, Sabin, and Christina Barunda were all leading in their respective games before play was halted after Millikin reached the 5-point majority. The next day, the Big Blue faced off with Wheaton in the semifinals. Millikin was defeated by the Thunder by a score of 5-1. The Big Blue took their only victory in doubles play, with Emily Marcus and Paige Willer winning 8-5. Singles play saw Wheaton finish things off. Brianna Barconi fell 2-6, 0-6. Chloe Sabin was credited with a loss after retiring due to injury, and Christina Barunda fell via a 6-1, 0-6, 1-6 decision. Nicole Obradovich, Willer, and Marcus all had play halted after Wheaton reached the 5-point majority. And on the final day of the CCIW tournament, the Big Blue took part in the third place match against Augustana. Millikin was victorious, defeating the Vikings 5-2. Emily Marcus and Paige Willer got things going for the Big Blue as they scored an 8-7 doubles victory early, and the duo of Obradovich and Barunda would win 8-3 as Millikin took 2 in doubles play. Singles play saw Millikin take the victory, with Emily Marcus being the first singles victor with the score 6-1, 6-2, and Christina Barunda won her match 6-4, 6-1, with Taylor Milholland winning 6-1, 6-1 to finish things off. Obradovich and Willer once again had play halted after the Big Blue reached the 5-point majority. This brings women's tennis to 12-2 on the year as their fall season comes to a close. Millikin notches a third-place finish in the CCIW tournament to back up their second-place regular season finish. And with that, the CCIW tournament did come to a close with the Cardinals of North Central winning the title. North Central did not lose a single match en route to the championship. Millikin women's tennis capped off their historic season by breaking several records. With their opening round victory, the Big Blue saw a 25-year-old record for the longest win streak broken, with their 8-game win streak coming to an end in the semifinals. In addition, freshman Chloe Sabin remains on record watch with her 11-1 singles record. Her 916 winning percentage keeps her on pace to best Tiffany Hill's 26-year-old mark of 857. And in addition, she did see her consecutive singles win streak broken with her semifinal loss, and so she now solely holds the record for consecutive singles wins at 11. Cross country was off last week. This week, Millikin will take part in the CCIW championships. Triathlon was also off last week. This week, the Big Blue will be in action at the NCAA qualifiers taking place in Utah. Now it's time to recognize our Big Blue athletes of the week. Our first athlete is Hope Limoges. Last week, Hope recorded a 14-save shutout as the Big Blue took down North Central. This was her third shutout of the season and the fifth of her Big Blue career. And our second Big Blue athlete of the week is Emily Marcus. The Irvine, California native posted 5 wins in the CCIW tournament last week for women's tennis and went undefeated in doubles play. That's all for this week's edition of Behind the Blue. Be sure to tune in next week for all your Millikin sports news. Have a great week and go Big Blue.